Okay, get ready because we're going right now. Alright, I want you all to close your eyes and imagine that you're backstage about to give a speech to an auditorium full of people. You have your speech set out and prepared, waiting for you on the podium, and all you have to do is walk out and give the speech. As you walk out, a wall of applause hits you like a giant wave. As you look out in the crowd, you see that every person is waiting for you to give your speech. Alright, now open your eyes. Can you picture yourself being a little nervous? No? Every person that has given a speech has experienced some form of anxiety before giving a speech. At some point in our lives, we have to make speeches. They may be planned or they may be sprung upon you at a moment's notice. Even though you may be anxious, there are ways to calm down and perform well. There are two main ways to deal with anxiety, and those are inner perception about speeches and physically dealing with the anxiety. Each of these types has 3 different methods that can help you alleviate stress. The first main set of ways to deal with speech anxiety is what I would call perception-changing concepts. Perception-changing concepts are 3 different ways to change the way your mind thinks about giving speeches. The 3 different concepts are communication orientation, motivation techniques, systematic desensitization, and cognitive restructuring. The first type of relief to pre-speech anxiety that we're going to go over is communication orientation motivation techniques, or COM for short. The idea behind COM is people view speaking in public as a performance rather than a large informal talk, and that it is the line of thought that creates anxiety before and during a speech. Now, COM tries to make us view it more as a conversation between peoples instead of a presentation. The best way to think of this as is instead of giving a presentation to a bunch of people judging you, you sit and are talking to a group of your peers or a group of your friends. The second type is systematic desensitization, which is being able to desensitize one's mind to anxiety and stress over time. The way that you can desensitize yourself to not feeling anxious when you're speaking is to visualize going through increasingly more stressful speeches, which will then desensitize your brain to that. The best way that they have you do it is they have you visualize speaking to, say, a kindergarten class, and then to an older class, then to a group of random strangers, to Congress, if you want to go that far, or even speaking as the president on the State of the Union. The last of the 3 pre-concepts is cognitive restructuring. Cognitive restructuring is meant to change your interpersonal communications, also meaning for you to stop negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is saying things like, I can't do this, I'm too scared to do this, I'm going to screw up, and that's what negative self-talk is. What you do is you identify your fears that come up when you give your speech by visualizing you doing your speech again, and then you write them down, and then once you write them down, you analyze why these fears are irrational, because most fears about public speaking are completely irrational. From there, you craft positive coping phrases instead of negative self-talk that works on a personal level. Like, it's different for each person. Some people can go, yes, I can do it, or some people are like, I've done everything I can and I'm prepared for this. Then from there, you work these phrases into everyday life so they become second nature to you. And with doing all these things, you will be able to alleviate most anxiety before you have to give the speech. These 3 different methods highlight ways to reduce the level of anxiety before you have to give a speech. The most common process they share is making a person feel and believe that they have the ability to do the speech before they've actually given a speech. Now we'll move on to more direct and physiological ways to lessen anxiety. Just like with perception methods, there are 3 different direct or physiological methods for dealing with speech anxiety. These 3 are visualization, relaxation exercises, and the constant use of public speaking skills. Now, for visualizing, I want you to sit there and think about doing a speech in front of a loud crowd, and you're nailing it. Everything you want to say in the speech went off without a hitch, and you realize you did a great job on your speech. This is the basic tool for visualizing. You literally picture yourself doing the speech or an event well, and it becomes easier to achieve. The most common place that visualizing is used is in a sports arena. With it, athletes can visualize what motions they need to use to perform the best that they can. It works the same for speeches as well. Visualizing your speech will decrease your anxiety about the speech. Another technique that is very effective is relaxation exercises. The most natural way a person can complete a relaxation exercise is breathing. When you get anxious, you get short of breath, you don't fill up your lungs, and it causes us to hyperventilate, and then your brain starts to slowly shut down. So what you want to do is take deep, long breaths and fill your lungs. This is especially good for doing speeches and also for anyone that's a musician, because you need your lungs for that. The other option is to learn to tighten and relax muscle groups all over your body. And so with that, you tighten specific muscle groups. Like you start with your arms and you tighten it, then you loosen it, and you can feel the difference between the muscles from when it's relaxed and when it's tightened. And then you consciously relax all the muscles on your body, which calms you down as well. The last item that we'll be going over is public speaking skills training. In public speaking skills training, you practice doing speeches and preparing speeches very often. This form allows you to make it so you know what you're getting into with public speaking. It lets you actually realize what happens in a speaking scenario and lets you do it. Lets you know that you can be successful. And the key to this is to be constantly going and making new speeches, and to do as many speeches as you possibly can so you become comfortable with them. And so now you have 2 types and 6 different methods of dealing with anxiety associated with public speaking. With communication orientation motivation techniques, systematic desensitization, cognitive restructuring, visualization, relaxation exercises, and the constant use of public speaking skills, you can lessen your fears of speaking. Now go out and be less stressed.